Welcome to East Coast Moms Unfiltered. I am Donna, and this is my co host. I am Nick, and today we're sitting down with Kelly, and she's going to talk to us about overcoming grief and sorrow and raising children as she lost her husband 10 years ago. So, Kelly, thank you so much for sitting down with us and wanting to share your story.
Thank you so much for having me. It's nice to see you guys.
It's
Nice
great
to
to
see
see
you.
you too. Thank you. So, go ahead and start to tell your story, and we'll just interrupt whenever we have questions.
Okay. Okay. I live in Cape Cod and I lost my husband about 10 years ago. It'll be 11 years in May. He was 37. He had stomach cancer. We have 4 kids. So at the time, my baby was 18 months old when his dad died, and the oldest was 9. He had no life insurance. So it just kind of like left me in chaos, trying to grieve, trying to help children grieve, trying to figure out financially what to do, and just the logistics of tying up an estate and all the things that come at you that you don't even know are gonna ever come at you. And
Yeah.
I've had a lot of loss. Before that, I lost my mom and my brother within 2 years of each other, and then my husband and I, our 4th child was stillborn, 1 day shy of 36 weeks as well. So, I've gone through grief many times, way too many, I guess one's too many, but I have something that is inside of me to share because I ended up writing, journaling to help myself heal, and was encouraged by friends to share it. And when I was sharing it with others, I started a blog and then I eventually wrote a book. And I had such positive feedback that my story was helping other people. Professional. I'm a personal trainer and I do holistic wellness coaching. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the things that I've learned about myself that I can help other people, and the things that I've paid attention to along the way to help other people to thrive. And that's, kind of my purpose now, is that I want to help other people to thrive and not just survive through grief and trauma, using my own experience
Wow.
for an example. And I mean, life's always chaotic, but I try to help other people now.
Yeah, I think that people have a tendency to listen to other people when they've gone down the same journey. And I always say if someone's gone down a journey I've never gone down, I can't say I sympathize with them, but I just sit there and say I can lend you an ear and I'm here for you. That's really all I can say, cuz sit there and say that you sympathize with somebody and you don't know what they're going through. It's like, so I think the more people that actually can tell their story, people that have gone down that road can actually relate to them, I think is, and it's healing for everybody. It's healing for you and it's healing for the people that are currently going through what you went through.
Right. Absolutely. And I still get asked, it's almost 11 years, and somebody will lose a spouse, and it's like immediately someone will be like, "Oh, wait, we know someone you can talk to." And people reach out to me all the time. It's it used to be really hard because I would relive what I went through. And I still do at times, but I feel like it's weird as time goes on. I guess look at it in a different way now. I know that I'm still healing and I'm going to always be healing, but I also know that
Yeah.
I find myself sometimes really businesslike because those are the pieces that I didn't know. So
Okay.
there are people who lose someone and they understand the grief part of it, but
Mhm.
I didn't understand the all of a sudden being a single mom with no income part of it. And so I find myself now immediately, think like going to somebody and being like, okay, I'm here to help you. I'm here to hug you. I'm here to listen to you. And I know this really sucks emotionally. This grief journey is not going to go away right away or maybe ever. But I'm immediately like, did they have life insurance? What do you have as an income? What are your bills? What's your mortgage? What do you know about Social Security? Survivor benefits? Do because I feel like I didn't have that. I didn't have somebody to like swoop in, and I had to learn those things, and it's the logistics. It's so hard. It's just so hard to go through all those steps. but there's things that some people just don't know about that they can access, and at least that part of it can be easier because nothing's easy. Any little part of it makes it better, I guess.
Do you find that when people reach out to you, even, 10 years later, that it's therapeutic for you when you talk to them?
It is absolutely.
Like, so
Yeah. I mean, because
Okay.
there's pieces of it like that they're gonna understand that other people don't. So you'll have, friends and family that console you, and sometimes strangers that you meet, right? That console you. But when you get to help someone else and connect with someone else that is going through something that you've been through, it helps them because that me too makes you feel less alone. I think that
Mhm.
in anything, the me too factor is huge. And it's healing for me. And it's actually wonderful for me because it gives me a chance to talk about my late husband too in a way that's freer, like because they want to talk about their partner and or whoever they've lost. And I always am happy and sharing stories about my husband. And I always will because we have 4 kids and he was my best friend, so that will never change, but I think that sometimes it's a weird dynamic because sometimes, especially almost 11 years out, you go to tell a story about something and someone might think, "Oh, she's not, she must still be sad or grieving," or like they just don't understand it, I guess, as much. And I've heard some pretty like wackadoodle stuff over the years, from people that it's just like stay in your lane.
But you're keeping his I mean, it can go both ways, his or her memory alive depending on who you've lost. You're keeping their memory alive because it like you got like you've said, and even for Donna, you have children, and so you want to keep their dad's memory alive or their mom's memory alive because it helps the kids, and the more stories you might be just chit-chatting one day and come up with a story of something that they may have never heard or a memory, and that's keeping their parent alive and, and you and your significant other, which I mean, I love hearing stories when Donna tells me about Matt because they're hysterical. I mean, she knows I'll bust out laughing because they're I mean, we will sit there. She literally can get me crying because I'll be laughing so hard over the stories that she tells me. I feel like I've met him. I never did, but I feel like I've met him.
Yeah, I had a friend.
that's important. You can laugh about it, and it's important that you can cry about it. You
Yeah,
have to be able to do both
yeah.
Absolutely. I have
for sure.
friends that I wish I'd met him, and I have friends that, like, I met after I lost him, who I will be like, "Wait a second, they didn't know him?" Because I feel like they should have. I don't know.
And maybe they were sent to you from him, just because you needed them in your life.
Right, right, and because other friends go away. Other friends all of a sudden are like, "Oh, look at those couple friends that never call us anymore," or, "Look at the friends that were
Yeah.
his friends, but then became my friends, but because they were his friends first, all of a sudden they're gone too." You know,
Yep, exactly.
you've experienced that, right? I mean, you also
Yeah.
experience the people who are like, "Let me know whatever you need anytime." And then for me, it's like I was so proud. I didn't wanna ask anybody for anything, I wanna do everything myself. I learned this, like, hyper independence that isn't healthy, by the way, and I've learned since then that it does take a village. However, you also learn that not everyone who says, "Reach out if you need anything," means it, and that's a difficult
Yeah.
thing.
That's sad.
It's sad, but it's like, you almost wish people just didn't say it, because you wanna take some
Mhm.
their word, and then you kinda see, I don't know, who your friends are, and that makes it you wanna be understanding because 'cause you're like, "Oh, yeah, everybody has their own family and they have their own thing, like, they don't need to bother with me." But if somebody says, "Reach out if you need something," and then you need something, and it's hard, like, for me to reach out, and then I do reach out, and then they make you feel like a burden or they are nowhere to be found. That's a
Yeah.
hard thing too. That's a hard thing too.
You know what I found that so I have a handful of friends that will make sure that they call me on on our anniversary, or call me on his birthday, or, even if it's just like a heart emoji in a text, like on those certain, like, milestone things. And then in the back of your head, with those people that say, I'm here for you, you're like, well, how come they're not remembering these things? So is that a me thing? Is that a them thing? And then you kind of think about it, like, all right, I'm not, in the forefront of their head.
Yeah.
But those things are important. Those things, they kind of help a little bit.
Yeah. I've always that because I'm so glad that you actually talked about that because I was actually going to bring that up. Do people actually stay? And I'm the type of person that I actually, when I say call me, and I'll be like, I'm not home, or I'll be in the middle of something. I'm like, can I call you back? I promise you, I'll call you back, and I do call back, or I'm like, okay, I'll try to help. I had a friend earlier this year whose mom passed away, and I said, if you need me for anything, please call me. And she literally texted me and she's like, "Are you home?" I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And she said, "I forgot to tell my husband to go to the flower shop and his phone is on airplane mode and it closes in 15 minutes." And I was like, "Where am I going?" And I flew to the flower shop. I picked it up and I took the flowers to her house because the next day was the service. That's the type, I mean, that's even if she called me today, I'd be like, "Where am I going? What am I doing? What do we need?"
Right. Yeah, and you do find
So,
I mean, I have those friends, and I hope that I am
yeah,
that friend, but I think I've gotten to the point where it sounds weird, but I almost feel sad for the people who can't do that for someone else, in
yeah,
not necessarily if they don't have time or they're taking care of something else, but more like the people that could help, and then they've got
yeah,
why they can't. I almost feel bad for them because they don't really understand that connection of, like, it does take a village and we need to be there for one another.
yeah. Yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I will never not say that I don't need anybody. I got this. I can do it by myself because I can't. I can't. And that's okay. That's okay to say that you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's okay.
I feel like it's still hard. I guess you end up I mean, it's been so many years that there were so many times where I was like, "Fine, nobody's gonna help me, I'll do it myself." And then you I'm good at asking for things that I absolutely have to have help with, but things that you would just make your life easier to have help with, I tend to still give myself the burnout, get overwhelmed because, I'm learning, and it's hard. It is hard, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful boyfriend now, and he would absolutely do anything. He's so freaking
Aw.
yes, like, so freaking sweet, and, I think though, you know, I've I've kind of said, like, with the dishes or something, like, there's always dishes in my sink, and I think one time I said something like, "You You can't ask me if I want you to do my dishes. You have to just, like, go to the sink and do my dishes. Because
Yeah.
if you're in it, I'll be like, "He took over, thank you, that's sweet." But if you say, "Would you like me to do your dishes for you?" I would say, "Absolutely not. No, 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 don't worry about it. It's not your
No.
responsibility." And so it's like it's one of those things where, like, if I'm gonna allow someone to help me, they almost have to just do it. If I'm asked, "No, it's
Yeah.
okay, don't worry about it," because the other thing too is because I know that he is, like, so giving and loving and nice and kind that I'm very careful, like, I'm like, "I don't wanna take advantage of anyone ever being nice to me," you know? So I go through that in my head too. But it's like
It's
it's like we're all
it's
learning. We're learning, right?
yeah, it's like
Exactly.
letting go that one piece that you've been in control of for so long. I get it, I get it. People come to me, I was like, "No, no, no, you don't have to do this. No, 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 you don't no, I'm fine." They're like, "No, we're doing." I'm like, "Okay, go ahead. I guess. Wash the dishes. Do whatever you wanna do."
So you mentioned your boyfriend. So do you want to talk a little bit about like what it's been like since your husband passed, and what that journey of perhaps finding someone else afterwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, 'cause it's freaking crazy. It's like, my gosh. I went through I was so my husband was I had a few boyfriends that were just, like, nothing super serious before my husband. So my husband really was, like, my first serious relationship, like, I mean, lost my virginity to my husband, like that kind of thing, got married and that was it. And we were together for 15 years. So it's kind of crazy, like and it wasn't a perfect marriage at all, not at all, but he was my best friend. And so it's crazy after the fact. It's like you go through, for me, I went through where I was like not even on my radar to think about dating, to think about another man. And then it was like, okay, I need to get the F out of this house because these kids are making me crazy. So I remember, and I remember it was like he passed away in May of 2015. Then I remember October-ish, I was like, okay, I feel like I can breathe. Like I feel like I'm getting a handle on just like the day-to-day logistics, still missing him like crazy, but just like I felt like I was getting where I could breathe. That's about the best I can do, right? Where I felt like there was a weight off my chest a little bit. So then somewhere around like January, I remember, just having some wine with one of my friends and sitting around and we were just chatting. And I don't know if she convinced me or if, we chatted about it, but that night she helped me put up a profile on Match. And on profile, I wrote, recent widow. I don't have a clue what I want. All I know is I need to get out of my house and have a social life. Maybe I'm looking for a friend.
Aw,
I said,
okay.
That's all. I don't know. So I was very clear when I met the first few men I met. I was like very clear. I was like, look, I don't know. Like my heart's not given to being given out for free right now. I just needed a social life. And
Yeah.
there's a thing too, like that. I don't know. I've talked to other widows and I've heard other widows' stories, and there is like this kind of thing inside. I think it's called widow's fire. I think that's what it's called, where it's like you just have this desire when you've lost your loved one, when you've lost your partner, to just like to be validated that you're pretty or handsome or sexy or whatever it is. Like just have that like or to have like a connection, to feel like someone else is giving you affection and, whatever it may be. And so I probably like had some of that too, but I feel like I was really clear on where I was at. And the men that I dated didn't get that. I mean, like, did not get that.
Mm,
I remember like meeting a guy, I had to vet everyone. So I met this guy and we had mutual friends who said he's wonderful. And I said, okay, I'll go out with him. And I said, this is where I'm at. I don't know if I just want a friend, whatever it was. And I remember we went out 4 times. I think we went somewhere or hung out or whatever within like 2 weeks. I remember the fourth night and it was like nothing. I didn't think it was anything crazy, maybe had dinner, to a movie or whatever. And on the fourth night, I remember the fourth date, if you can call it a date, he told me he thought he was falling in love with me. And I was like,
okay.
I'm like, never see you again. Yet I was done. I was like, I'm sorry. I can never ever see you again. No.
Like, too soon.
Yeah. So it was just like, it was just, it was weird. It was weird. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I went through a phase where I like serial dated. Um, and then I would meet a guy here and there that I liked and that I wanted to get to know better. And it was, it was just like, it was weird. I would have the things like it's not that I don't know that I would compare to my husband as much as I'd be like, okay, these are the qualities my husband had that I want, and these are the qualities my husband had that I don't want. And so I would,
Okay.
so it was almost like I got to the point where I was like, wait, I have a clean slate, so I can decide now. Like I don't want somebody that does YZ.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I had like one of the things I experienced with dating as a widow was the judgment from people who were supposed to be friends. I had 3 people who told me they thought it was too soon. Like, "Oh, this is your life. Thanks for sharing." I had one friend who
Yeah.
had one friend who said and like one of my very, very close friends, whose husband was very close to my husband, one of his best friends. She said she wasn't going to tell him that I was dating because he didn't think that I should yet. That was weird. And then I actually, another weird thing was I dated a guy who, and I will always talk about Bobby. Bobby's my late husband's name. I will always talk about Bobby. I will share stories about him because he was 15 years of my life. And if he was my best girlfriend,
Yeah.
if he was my best girlfriend I lost, I would be talking about him. So, like, what's the difference? Like, I'm talking about
Right.
my best friend. I'm talking about this huge portion of my life and experiences that I had. And this person was the one with me in those experiences. So, I remember meeting one man who told me that he couldn't date me because it seemed like I was still, this is his words, hung up on my husband. Eh,
Okay then.
I was like,
Really
wow,
just don't know.
Wow.
like that is our journey. It's not my journey. That's that man's journey. That's your insecurity. That's you
Yeah.
thinking that you're competing with a ghost. That's you. That's not me.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so it's,
No.
so you got to kind of navigate. Like, I think one of the best things that I did, because like I did do that like serial dating, and then I did have a couple relationships that, lasted for longer, maybe like a year or so. And, a couple good guys that, whatever, for whatever reason, didn't work out. But the best thing that I did, honestly, was I stopped altogether in about, let's see, like 2022. I was like, you know what? I'm freaking done. I'm done. I just want to concentrate on myself, on my business, my family, my friends. And it was like the greatest thing that I ever did. I went almost 2 years, did not date. When I started to date again, I was at it so different. I was a completely different person. I went at it. I was like, my feelings weren't going to get hurt by anyone. I was not going to feel rejected by anyone. I went at it like, not everyone's for everyone. I'd like a partner. I don't need somebody to take care of me. I am bringing a happy, whole person to the table, and I want a happy, whole person back so that the two of us together can be even happier and can add to each other's lives.
Right.
And there's so many people that you find have so much trauma. And I came out, one of my really, really like close best friends, and I had said, actually, not too long before I met the man that I'm with now, she and I were just kind of like, bitching and moaning, whatever, complaining about men and dating and whatnot. And we were talking about how, like, the greatest thing you can do is have a therapist and heal. The greatest thing you can do is heal yourself, because when you heal yourself, you can truly live. Like, you can know what joy is again, and you can bring that to other people. And if you're not healed, you're not going to bring that version of yourself to the world. So we were talking about how so many people aren't healed. And we kind of said, all right, when we date, next time we meet someone, one of the first things we're going to ask, when you're sitting there and you're like, oh, you know, do you have siblings? What do you do for a living? Whatever. One of the things I said that we said we are going to ask was, what are you currently doing, or what have you done to heal your past trauma? We've all gone through some kind of trauma. And,
Yep. Exactly.
and I remember like asking this man, immediately he had like an amazing answer. He talked about therapy. He was like super open about like his own journey of becoming a better person. And that was so cool. I was like, green flag, because it's so important for all of us to do that and to realize that like
Yeah.
none of us are perfect and none of us are spared
Yeah.
whatever we're going to end up going.
Yeah.
But to make yourself stronger and to figure out the ways you can make yourself a better person for yourself, for your family, for your future partner, for the world, that's where it's at. And when you go into dating as a widow, I think the first things that you might be feeling, that I was feeling, were insecurity. I had a husband who told me I was beautiful every single day, and then all of a sudden that person's gone. And so
Yeah.
you miss that, you know, even if you have great self-esteem, you miss that. You miss that person that I mean, I remember the way that like I would do crazy ass stuff. And my husband would just stare at me and be like, "Yeah, my girl," you know. And then you'll date someone and you'll be crazy and you'll be yourself. And you've got somebody that'll say, you know, I've dated a couple people that'll be like, "Really? That isn't that kind of immature or you know, something." And then it makes
No, no, it's not.
no, it's not. But when you feel vulnerable,
Yeah.
it makes you feel insecure. It makes you feel small. So learning to be you, learning to be unique, learning to be yourself, learning to put whoever you are out there and speak your truth and be who you are. It's a crazy journey for anyone. Anyone.
Yeah.
I think it makes it a little crazier when you thought you found your person and then they're gone and now you're like, wait a second. Who like do I want a partner? And if I do, like, what's that gonna even look like?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how are your kids' reactions to you, finding a partner and them? I mean, I know that your youngest one was very young when your husband passed. So what's the dynamic there?
So I have 4 kids. So my daughters are now 20 and 18, and my sons are 15 and 12. So when
Okay.
when I first started to date, had one of my daughters would throw complete fits, have anxiety attacks. She would hyperventilate. It was awful. I used to just learn that I had to walk out though and leave her and she would be okay. Like if there was a babysitter or whatever, I would just know she would be okay. And as soon as I walked out the door, she would calm down. She would calm herself down and be okay. And it was like one of those hard things to do, but like that I knew I had to do and teach her that she could be okay and that I was, you know, what would I want my own kid to do in this situation when they're older?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I had like 2 sons who for years I would tuck them in. They shared a room. I'd tuck them in every night and they'd be like, "Mom, we need you to get a boyfriend. We need a man to be around you.
Aw.
We need someone to play
Oh,
this. We need someone to do that. We need this. We need that." And I'd be like, "It's not that easy." You know, they'd be like, "Someone to play video games with us." And I'd be like, "Yeah, that's not going to probably be my future boyfriend."
We're not going to Target to pick one off the dollar store.
Yeah.
but they were younger, so it was easier, I think, for them to just say, "Oh, okay, mom, go pick up another one."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my oldest never seemed bothered at all, one way or another. She seemed fairly supportive. She did get really attached to one of the men that I dated, and that was a hard thing. It was a hard thing to see. It just wasn't the right timing, the right relationship. But other than that, I would say, like, now that they're older, um, I think because I went so long without dating my youngest one, because I went, like, a couple years, right, more recently, and so my youngest one, when I started to date again, he had a chip on his shoulder, like, he had a real problem with it because he was just kinda like, "Wait a second, my mother's home with me. My mother's taking care of me. I'm it. Like, I'm not sharing." And so he got
Okay.
even, like yeah, he got super jealous. He's much better now, like, he's kind of, like, gotten used to it now, but all along the way, like, I've always told my kids they've come first. I've always made sure that any man that I was with knew they came first, and also took that with a grain of salt because you'll have some kids who will throw a fit or have some kind of problem every single time you wanna go out because they don't want you to.
Right.
So, it's a tough thing because you have to kinda navigate, like, when you believe them and when you don't, because I love all my kids, my kids are awesome, but everybody's kid can be an ass sometimes, you know? And they're smart. They're smarter than
Yeah.
I'm credit for. They're smart. They know how to be manipulative, and I think I definitely saw I think it was funny because, like, with my one of my daughters, I saw her be manipulative when I was dating at first, and I was sensitive to it. I understood, like, why she was doing what she was doing. She was a kid, you know, I get it. But because I kinda
Yeah.
knew the tricks, then when my younger son
Uh,
started to do it, I remember, like, he did a couple things,
yeah.
and I just stopped him, and I was like, "Look, I already know what you're doing," and I called him out on it, like and he didn't wanna be called out, but he was like, he got that he was being called out. Um, so, yeah, I mean, now It's, now I think, like, I end up still having mom guilt, like, if, I don't know, like, I have 2 kids in college, so, like, if one of them were to be home when I don't really see a lot of them, then I'm kinda like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
I if I have plans to go out, I feel kinda guilty going out because I haven't really seen them." Or, like, with my
Yeah.
sons, like, if my sons are home alone doing nothing, sometimes I feel guilty, so I'll be, like, trying to get them to sleep at a friend's house or have them like, "Oh, do you want a friend to sleep over tonight?" And then I'll be home in a couple hours, and then I feel a little like, "Okay, they won't fight, and they won't be on video games, and they'll, like, interact with someone else." Uh, but
Yeah, yeah,
we'll have mom guilt until the day we die, so I try to just, like, do my thing, and it's a different feeling, like, I know, so both my parents had passed away, and, um, I still and this is gonna sound crazy maybe, but, like, I still to this day and my oldest is almost 21. Since having children, I've never been away from my children more than one overnight, more than one night.
Oh,
Never had like my mom wasn't alive when I had kids. My dad was on oxygen and he couldn't have slept with my kids and taken care of them that young. My in-laws would not do it for their own reasons. They just weren't very involved with my children. And we didn't really have a system of, that support system and those babysitters. So we didn't go anywhere.
yeah,
When I was married, we didn't go anywhere. And then I went away the first night that I went away with some girlfriends, we went to a charity event overnight that was super fun. And I remember that feeling, all of a sudden I had this feeling of like freedom that I hadn't had in so long. And I was like, wait a second, I need more of this. And so it's like, it's hard because when you're a widow, there's so many things to consider, but that self-care, it's important. I mean, just like being able to have that time when everyone is where they need to be, everyone's taken care of, and you can breathe. It doesn't happen that often, And
yeah.
when it does, like you're like,
No, I get it. I know.
no, right?
you know, I Yeah, I've never been like you, I've never been away from my kids except for, like, when my sister got married and I had to fly to the West Coast and my grandmother died, I went to the West Coast without my family. I went there and that 'cause my sister had a no kid family wedding, don't ask why, but she did, so it was just me, and just being gone, like, literally, I flew in on a Friday. She got married on a Saturday. I was on a plane back home Sunday morning. And the whole time I was there, I hated being away from my kids. When my grandmother died, I was 2 nights there and I flew back home. And even to this day, even though my kids are all teenagers and one is out of the house, I don't like being away from my kids. I don't. I'm like, I have to know. People are like, "Oh, do you want to go on a vacation without your kids?" I'm like, "No, no." They're like, "You want to bring your kids with you?" Yeah. They're like, "You and your husband don't want to go away for the weekend for your anniversary?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "I'd have to bring my kids with you." They're like, "But you should have time by yourself." And I'm like, "No, I'm good, thanks." I don't I have to have them with me. I mean, people might think I'm weird, and it works for some people, and it doesn't work for some people, but I just wanna have them with me, because I know one day they're gonna grow up and be out of the house, and then they're not gonna be around.
Yep, that's right.
So, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't know if I could do
2 days
I
is
can do
good for
one
me.
night. Like, I can do one night, and I've done
Mhm.
one night a few times. So I don't know if I could do 2 because I'd ki unless I knew that they were, like, with friends or doing something that they weren't even thinking about me. I just feel like I don't know.
Yeah,
And if I went on a vacation, I guess for me to go on a vacation with I need my kids with me. I want them to have that experience. I want
yeah,
those memories together.
yep,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean, my kids were with their dad. I left my husband home and I flew off by myself, so I knew they were safe, and I left the notebook this thick of, "Here's the clothes for the kids, and here's their medicine, here's the phone numbers,
yeah,
here's how you make your coffee." I'm like, literally, he couldn't make his coffee. If something ever happened to me, he'd be in trouble. He'd be, like, Googling at YouTube, "How do I make coffee?"
Well, when I'm and my husband, we're okay as far as knowing
Mhm.
how to live and knowing how to function. We don't I feel like with women, we in my experience and in what I've seen and in the other widows I've met and widowers, when a woman loses their husband, they're not in a rush to have a partner. They don't need a partner. They can do everything they need to do, but they want a partner eventually. Whereas I feel like
Yeah.
men are very quick to be like, crap, gonna take care of me.
Yep.
And I mean, I saw that with my dad. My mom died in 2001. Within like 2 months, my dad was dating somebody, and my parents had been married for 40 years. And I was like,
Yeah, sounds familiar in my house.
what are you doing? And it's just like, because I had a mom who took care of him for 40 years.
Yeah.
He didn't know any.
Yeah.
He's like, well, what somebody has to do this. Somebody has to, whatever. And I just have seen that with other men too. I mean, I've had, like I said, like people will introduce me to somebody and be like, he's just lost his wife. Maybe you could be a resource for him. And I've been that way meeting women and meeting men, wives and husbands. And
Yeah.
when I meet these husbands that have lost their wives, it's insane. Like I just look at them and I'm like, what? It's insane to me. Just like I could tell you stories. I could write another book on the story
Oh, no.
I've heard, the things that I've seen. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what? I'm always super supportive though. I'm like, you do you. You just freaking lost your
Yeah.
partner. As long as you are communicating where you're at with the other person, do whatever you want. If you
Yeah.
wanna date, if you
Yeah.
want to sleep around, if you whatever you feel like you need, as long as you are communicating effectively with the person that you're with, so they know where you're at, live it up. Do whatever you need to do. And, like, because we can't judge somebody else. Like, we need what we need.
No.
We're all different,
Yeah.
each their own. I've just been slightly
Yeah.
appalled at time by some of the things I've heard men say and do.
I think sometimes it's a companionship that they just need that, they always have it doesn't it can go either way. My mom was similar to your dad. My parents were married for almost 50 years and he died in August. And November I discovered that she was engaged. I was like, "Wait, what, huh?" And then May she was married. I was like, "Wait, whoa, wait, huh? Hold on. I can't process this. My brain I still can't. It's been several years, but that's for a different podcast." And so I'm just yeah, so I think depending on how long you've been with somebody, especially when they like you're our parents' age, I think it's more of a companionship that they're just not used to being alone. And even maybe younger people, I had a friend whose sister-in-law passed away and he kind of like jumped into relationships very quickly. And I said they were like kind of upset the family was. And it's like, you understand. I was like, he went from having a mom dating a girl in high school, marrying said girl has now his now wife has now passed away. All he's ever had is somebody to take care of him. I go, he's just looking for a companionship. I go, don't look too far into it. And obviously those relationships didn't last and now he's happily married. But it's just, I think some people just need to fill the void and it's fine. Like you said, as long as they're not doing anything crazy, irrational, and it's fine. It helps it's probably helping them heal
Right, right.
and filling that
Yeah.
void. I
All for
mean,
the right reasons.
yeah, for the right reasons, yeah. And like you said, I will never judge. It's what's whatever helping that person.
Yep. Yeah, no, no judgment. I'm just like, everybody needs to live their lives. Um, yeah, I mean, because it's also, I mean, there's uncomfortable situations like you're a widow and your friends still invite you to the parties and they're all couples and then there's you. Um, and so there is like a desire sometimes to have someone next to you. Just to be like, look, I'm not alone. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of it's an interesting time to navigate, and that's why I like to tell my story, because when you find someone that you can connect with, then it's like, okay, wait, I'm not crazy. You know, I'm validated in what I feel and what I did.
I'm going to switch gears in the questions. How do you and your kids keep your husband's memory alive? Like, I know
Good
that we
one.
all love to talk about stories and stuff like that, but is there anything that you do or something special or, maybe a special date that you guys have done every year? Is there anything like that?
Yeah. They've what they want to do, and has each kid's different. So I've tried to honor and respect what they want and what they don't want. And as they've changed and gotten older, they've changed their approach to things. We do tell stories. Like, I mean, I have pictures all over the house. They're never going to come down. We have videos we watch sometimes, like DVDs. And I'm really quick to make sure that his memories just kind of intertwined as part of our lives. And we always on his anniversary, we usually go to dinner, like we'll go someplace that he really liked. And I used to take the kids to the cemetery every year, and then I know that they didn't all want to go. And sometimes it made them sadder. Sometimes, for whatever reason, like I said, I want to honor where they're at. So I just kind of ask them each year, like, and what do you want to do? We have an apple tree actually somebody gave us on his 1 year anniversary of his death that we planted in the yard. And
Oh, that
Aw, love that.
I so regret this apple tree. This thing isn't, listen, it's enormous. It takes up space where like other things could be going on in the yard. I feel like some kind of like small flowering plant would have been fine. But now, yeah, 10-ish years later, and the apples aren't even that good. They're like super tart. And by the time we can even pick them, the birds have
oh,
gotten to them or they've fallen off and worms have gotten to them. So it's not like functional
yeah.
at all. And I feel like there's going to be a point in time where I'm like, it's just a stupid freaking tree. And I'm going to want to take it down. And then my kids are going to be like, wait, no, it's daddy's tree. Be like,
Oh, man.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
funny. I know that with my husband, there's like certain like big Seinfeld fan, and he used to wear like his Festivus t-shirt on Festivus, and my girlfriend insists that she has to make like his favorite peanut butter cookies on that day. Like everybody, he had all these like quirky things that he liked, and we all liked them with him. So, that's how we kind of keep him alive. And also the Christmas before he died, I had a t-shirt made up, and it was called Madisms. And me and my older son came up with this humongous list of things that he said, and we had it all printed onto a t-shirt.
I
So
love
the
that.
Madisms come out all the time. Like, oh my God, remember what daddy says?
That's all.
You still
Just
have that
like,
shirt?
what?
Do you still have the
Like,
shirt?
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's in the
Well,
closet.
I need to see it. I don't think I've seen it yet.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'll show you a picture of him with enough.
Perfect.
It's you know what? It's so funny. Like literally he would go shop right for me and come back and be like, "Oh my God, it was a zoo." And I would Joey before he walks in the door, he's gonna say, "Oh my God, it was a zoo." And he would come in and we would just burst out laughing. And that was one of the things on one of his madisms.
Well, the shirt I would have for my husband if he died would be, "Sorry about that." Because literally we will go to church, we'll be in the car waiting to go home, and he's like one of the last people out, and we're like, "Wait," he's gonna get in the car and say, "Sorry about that." He gets in the car, "Sorry about that." We're like, "Mhm, we know." But literally what he says, "Sorry about that." We're like, "We know, let's just go. We're hungry."
It's all those little things, all those fun things.
I remember, I think we chatted about this before, like how our husbands both love baseball, but we love the good team.
I know. I know.
The Yankees. So
The Giants.
big Red Sox. So one of the things that he loved, and he loved his beer. For most of the time, like at some point around his anniversary, I usually like have a drink with some of his friends and just ghost him. I've had like I remember during COVID, a couple of his friends came over like with lawn chairs on the other side of the yard just so that we could still toast.
Oh.
But yeah, so there's just like little things here and there. I think that we have a Red Sox jersey that says Guay, our last name on the back, and so because he was such a huge Red Sox fan, after his funeral, our friends all organized a huge keg party. And they came and cleaned my house. They brought all the food. They brought all like the accessories that we needed. Um, one of his friends works at a restaurant, brought a couple kegs. And the thing was everyone had to wear something Red Sox. And so we had like
Mhm.
200 people at this like Red Sox keg
Wow.
party at our house after his funeral. with karaoke going because we loved to sing karaoke. So we had karaoke on the deck
I love
and people just getting, you know, crazy.
Schnockered.
Yeah. And one of his really good friends, his wife works for the Red Sox. So she had gotten this jersey that says Guay and she had a Sharpie. And so everybody that came signed the shirt so we could put it in a shadow box.
that.
And so that's
I
really,
love I love
yeah.
that.
So that's a really neat thing. Yeah. And then I have like my husband was a catcher and both my sons play baseball and like they've both been catchers. One of them still is. And so it's kind of cool. Like when I'm always like, oh, you'd be so proud. Like I know they'd be like, he would just be like over the moon that how good they
I'm
do.
sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
I love that. So you
Yeah.
were talking about finding somebody that was the green flag. And I was on social media the other day and there was this lady, she is now engaged and she lost her husband a while ago. And she's texting him. She's like, "Where are you at?" And he's like, "I'm at the cemetery." She's like, "You're where?" He's like, "I'm at the cemetery." And she's like, "Why are you at the cemetery?" Like she was completely confused. And he said, "Oh, I'm at the cemetery letting your husband know that that I'm gonna take care of you and that you're gonna be okay." I was like, "My gosh." I'm like, "Where are we crying at 7 in the morning?" No, we're not. That's what I said.
Wonderful.
Like literally, I was literally was like, "Okay, crying, here we go." No!
We all
But
need
yeah, I've
something like
seen several of those videos where people have gone where a lady's been in the car and they bought flowers and, her husband or fiance, whomever it was going to the graveyard to drop off flowers at their, significant other who's no longer around. And she's like, "I will let him do this until the day we die." I'm like, "Oh my goodness gracious." So
wow.
I love it when people are very, supportive of, letting the memory of their now partner's past partner, to keep it alive because, it was a part it's their like you said, it's your life, whether you were married to the person or you were, dated this person for many years, or it's the father or mother to your children, you got to keep it alive because it's their past, it's their story, it's your story.
It's your story. It's
Yeah.
part of your story.
Yep. So
This has been so good. Yeah. Tell us real quick a little bit about your blog and your book. Tell us a little bit about it so people know.
yeah, if you have it, hold it up so we can show people if you have your book with you. I love it.
Beautiful. I
Love.
love it. My favorite.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Not having time, right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right,
Yeah.
yeah, right. Oh, yeah, but they're there, you got 'em out there, so now it's just out of when we have time, we can finish
Yeah.
it.
So your website is refuse to sink.
I will link the book at the end of this. Okay. Perfect. Yes, and it's gonna be healing, not only, you writing your story down is healing for you, but having somebody else, read it can be, healing for them or, gifting it to somebody or even just reading it and going, "This is what my friend or my family member is going through," because they can then understand by getting it through somebody else's words. So,
Yeah. And me and Nick have a motto, whatever you do, if you can touch one person's
yeah.
life, then you did your job.
Yep, exactly. Well, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, been there, done that. I
Yeah.
got the
Yeah.
certificate. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for wanting to come on and share your journey and your story. And I know there's, going to be several people, well, not several, lots of people out there that will be able to resonate with you. And I hope by you coming out and continue telling your story that we're able to, and you're able to through your story to help them. And thank you so much for entrusting Donna and I on our platform to share your story. We truly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, Kelly. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.